Did you know that over 3 million tourists visited the Dominican Republic last year? And that number is still climbing in 2025? But here's the part nobody's talking about. The US State Department just reissued a travel warning, citing rising violent crime, even in areas once considered safe. So, should you cancel your trip or just pack a little smarter? This is not a scare video. This is a must-watch guide if you're heading to the DR, whether for those white sand beaches, epic bachata nights, or just a piña colada by the pool. We're breaking down the real story behind the headlines, from what the travel advisory actually means, to what's happening on the ground, and how you can still enjoy your trip safely. Because let's face it, no one wants their dream vacation to turn into a nightmare. If you love travel content that keeps it real, hit that like button, subscribe, and tap the bell, because we're going deeper than the brochure. Sures. Let's get into the truth about traveling to the Dominican Republic in 2025. Let's be honest, when you hear Dominican Republic, you probably picture this: luxury resorts, crystal clear water, and endless mojitos. And you wouldn't be wrong. But here's why the DR is making headlines right now. And it's not just because of the vacation deals. On June 12, 2025, the US State Department reissued its Level 2 travel advisory for the Dominican Republic. That means exercise increased caution due to crime. Not exactly the postcard message, huh? So what's going on? According to reports, there's been a spike in violent incidents, especially in urban areas like Santo Domingo and Santiago. And while resorts are generally safe, there's growing concern about petty theft, armed robberies, and yes, even some incidents targeting tourists. It's not just the US making noise. Canada, the UK, and even Germany have updated their travel advisories in the past 90 days. That should tell you something. Now, don't cancel your trip just yet. The DR is still one of the most visited countries in the Caribbean, but it does mean you should stop scrolling past those safety tips and actually read them. Coming up next, what does a Level 2 advisory actually mean? And how serious is it for travelers like you? Okay, so Level 2. It doesn't sound that scary, right? I mean, it's not Level 4, do not travel. So, should we even be worried? Let's break it down. The US State Department has 4 advisory levels. Level 1 is exercise normal precautions. Think Canada or Iceland. Level 2 is exercise increased caution. That's where the Dominican Republic sits right now. Level 3 says reconsider travel. And Level 4 is essentially don't go unless you're into chaos. So, Level 2 doesn't mean don't go. It means go, but stay sharp. Here's the key. Level 2 usually means there's a notable uptick in specific threats. In this case, mostly crime. We're talking armed robbery, assault, and theft, particularly in non-tourist areas or when people wander off the beaten path. The advisory even calls out things like criminals posing as police, motorcycle theft rings, and credit card fraud. Not exactly stuff you read in the resort brochure. And it's not just about where you go, it's about how you move. Flashy jewelry, walking alone at night, or hopping into unofficial taxis. Bad idea. Think of Level 2 like this. You're not in danger just by being there, but if you're careless, the consequences are real. Up next, not all of the Dominican Republic is created equal. Let's look at where the real danger zones are, and which areas are still worth your bucket list. Let's talk geography, because not every part of the Dominican Republic tells the same story. If you Google top places to visit in the DR, you'll see names like Punta Cana, La Romana, Puerto Plata, and Samana. These are resort-heavy zones with beaches that look like screensavers, and all-inclusive hotels designed to keep you fed, tipsy, and far from danger. But now, let's flip the map to Santo Domingo, Santiago, and certain parts of San Cristobal. These are vibrant cities with tons of local culture, and also higher crime rates. According to recent government briefings, most violent crime, including armed robberies and assaults, occurs in these urban centers. In fact, some neighborhoods in Santo Domingo have been flagged for regular gang-related activity and targeted robberies. Here's the thing. When you're at a beach resort, you're in a controlled environment. Private security, POLITUR officers, even cameras. But venture outside, say, for a local bar crawl, or to explore downtown markets, and the risk profile changes fast. It's like visiting New York. Times Square? Cool. Sketchy alley in the Bronx at 2 a.m.? Maybe not your best call. So, if your plan is to stay on resort property, chances are you're fine. But if you want to explore, and you should, because the country's beautiful, you've got to do it smart. Next up, let's zoom in on the most common threat to travelers right now. And no, it's not what you think. Okay, so you're not wandering into sketchy neighborhoods. You're chilling on the beach, drink in hand, vibes immaculate. Nothing can go wrong, right? Wrong. While violent crime grabs the headlines, the real threat to most tourists? Petty theft. And it's on the rise. According to local police and embassy reports, snatch and run theft, especially of phones, wallets, jewelry, and cameras, has increased sharply in 2025. And the trickiest part? It's happening in places tourists feel most relaxed. Public beaches, outdoor cafes, airport pickup zones, and even inside lobbies of mid-tier hotels. One increasingly common method? Thieves on motorbikes or scooters. They drive up, swipe your phone from your hand, and vanish into traffic before you've even processed what happened. Think of it as a real-life version of Grand Theft Auto, just starring your iPhone. And don't even get me started on unattended bags at the beach. If it's not on your body, consider it gone. Here's a stat that'll make you cringe. In tourist zones like Boca Chica and El Cortacito, up to 1 in 5 thefts reported involve tourists leaving valuables in plain sight, sunglasses, passports, even laptops. So here's the tip. Go minimal. Use a crossbody anti-theft bag. Keep your valuables in the hotel safe. And never, I repeat, never leave your stuff to just take a quick swim. That's when the beach bandits strike. Next, is violent crime actually affecting tourists? Or is that just media hype? Let's unpack that right after this. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, violent crime. We've covered petty theft. But what about the serious stuff? Armed robbery, assault, worse? The truth? Most violent crime in the Dominican Republic isn't aimed at tourists, but that doesn't mean you're immune. In fact, recent data shows a troubling trend. In 2024 alone, there was a 6% uptick in violent crimes involving foreigners, mostly in urban nightlife zones, or when people left resort property at night. We're talking incidents like muggings near ATM machines, assaults after late-night bar crawls, and a few horrifying cases of unlicensed taxi drivers turning into full-on predators. Here's one example. In Santo Domingo, last February, a Canadian couple was assaulted after using an unofficial rideshare app at 1:00 a.m. The driver wasn't who he claimed to be. Police later linked him to 3 similar cases. And guess what? No one verified his ID. Now, let's be clear, these cases are rare compared to the number of travelers who visit safely. But rare doesn't mean impossible. So what can you do? 3 big things. Stick to registered taxis or hotel transport. Avoid isolated areas after dark. Don't go bar hopping solo. Basically, if it's something you wouldn't do at home, don't do it on vacation with a language barrier and no cell signal. Next up, you've probably seen them at the airport, POLITUR. But can these tourist police actually protect you? Or are they just there for show? If you've ever arrived at a Dominican Republic airport or stepped into a resort zone, you've probably noticed them. The navy uniforms, friendly smiles, and tourist police labels. Meet POLITUR, the country's special police unit just for tourists. Sounds great, right? But the real question is, do they actually help? Well, here's the good news. POLITUR is one of the better organized units in the Dominican security structure. They're trained in basic English, operate in key tourist zones like Punta Cana, La Romana, and Puerto Plata. And they're often the first responders for incidents involving foreigners. Lost passport? Got scammed? Witnessed a theft? POLITUR is your go-to. But, and there's always a but, they're not omnipresent. Their coverage is limited to high tourism areas, and response times can vary widely depending on where you are. Try flagging down a POLITUR officer in the middle of Santo Domingo at 11 p.m. And good luck. Also, don't expect CSI Caribbean. POLITUR can document incidents, write reports, and coordinate with embassies. But they're not miracle workers. They can't undo poor decisions or prevent crimes you walk straight into. Bottom line, they're a helpful layer of security, especially if you stay in tourist zones and know how to contact them. Pro tip, program the POLITUR number into your phone before you land. Up next, everyone says resorts are the safest bet, but are they? Let's pull back the curtain on the all-inclusive promise. Ah yes, the all-inclusive resort. Bottomless drinks, ocean views, buffets that go on for miles, and just enough sunscreen to convince yourself nothing can go wrong. But let's pause the vacation fantasy for a second and ask, are all-inclusives really safer, or is that just good marketing? Short answer, yes and no. Here's the reality. Most resorts in the Dominican Republic are privately guarded, fenced in, and monitored by security staff and cameras. Many even coordinate with POLITUR for emergency situations. So yes, they're statistically safer than public beaches or off-site hotels. But, and this is important, they're not crime-proof. There have been verified reports in the last year of theft within resort walls. Things like room break-ins, often by someone with a staff key, missing items from unlocked safes, and even cases of drugged drinks at bars, especially when guests wander out of the designated areas or party late at night. And here's a wild one. In one Punta Cana resort, multiple guests had their phones stolen while they were in the pool, and it wasn't other guests. It was staff moonlighting for theft rings. So what's the smart play? Lock your valuables. Don't leave items unattended, even in private spaces. And if you're drinking, stay with friends and watch your glass. Resort or not, common sense is still your best bodyguard. Coming up, the nightlife in DR is legendary, but what's the real risk after dark? Let's face it, you didn't come all the way to the Dominican Republic just to sit by the pool and sip pineapple juice. You want nightlife, music, dancing, maybe a little rum-fueled adventure, right? But before you dive headfirst into Punta Cana's beach clubs or Santo Domingo's late-night lounges, let's talk safety after dark. In Punta Cana, nightlife is mostly centered around resort clubs, casinos, and organized beach parties. These spots are usually well secured, with resort staff and security present. Translation: safer, more controlled, tourist-friendly. Santo Domingo, a whole different vibe. Zona Colonial is packed with bars, rooftop lounges, and live music. And it's absolutely worth checking out. But it's also where you need to keep your head on a swivel. There's been a noticeable rise in after-dark muggings, drink spiking, and scams involving unofficial taxis waiting outside clubs. And yes, solo travelers are often the easiest targets. Here's a stat for context. In 2024, over 40% of reported tourist incidents in the capital occurred between 11 p.m. and 4 a.m. That's not to say don't go out, it's saying go out smart. Quick nightlife safety checklist. Stick to groups. Watch your drink. Never leave it unattended. Use licensed transport apps or hotel-arranged rides. And if your gut says this alley feels sketchy, trust it. Next up, it's not always crime that gets travelers in trouble. Sometimes it's just plain bad judgment. Let's talk about the mistakes tourists make that can ruin a trip. Let's be honest, sometimes it's not the destination that's dangerous. It's the decisions we make when we get there. So here's your reality check. These are the most common mistakes tourists make in the Dominican Republic. And trust me, they're all avoidable. Mistake number 1, getting too comfortable too fast. Just because you're at a beach resort doesn't mean local crime hits pause. People let their guard down, leave phones on loungers, or walk around with wads of cash. That's not relaxing, that's making yourself a target. Mistake number 2, taking unofficial taxis or rideshares. This one's huge. You meet a friendly guy who offers you a cheap ride? Don't do it. There have been numerous cases of robbery, harassment, and worse, from unlicensed drivers posing as helpful locals. Mistake number 3, flashy fashion. Rolex, diamond earrings, designer handbags, leave them at home. You're not impressing anyone worth impressing. And you're definitely catching the eye of the wrong people. Mistake number 4, not learning a few basic Spanish phrases. If something goes wrong, and you're trying to explain in English to someone who doesn't speak it, panic sets in fast. And mistake number 5, ignoring local advice. If hotel staff tells you not to walk somewhere at night, don't play the brave tourist. They live here. You don't. Traveling smart doesn't mean being paranoid. It means being present. And that presence could save your whole trip. Next up, let's shift gears and finish strong with practical tips every traveler should know before setting foot in the DR. All right, we've covered the risks. Now, let's talk about the solutions. Because yes, you can still have an incredible time in the Dominican Republic in 2025. You just need to be smarter than your vacation brain. So here it is, your no BS travel safety checklist for the DR this year. 1. Register your trip with the U.S. Embassy's STEP program. It's free, takes 2 minutes, and gets you emergency alerts instantly. 2. Stay at legit, well-reviewed accommodations. Whether it's a resort or Airbnb, check reviews. And make sure the place has 24/7 security or at least a locked entry. 3. Use official transportation. Stick with hotel taxis, trusted rideshare apps, or licensed shuttles. Never accept rides from random drivers, even if they seem helpful. 4. Limit cash. Take only what you need for the day. Use credit cards where possible and keep a second card hidden back at your room. 5. Learn the emergency numbers. For POLITUR, tourist police, dial 911 or ask your hotel to contact them. Don't wait until something happens to figure that out. 6. Make copies of your passport and ID. Keep them separate from the originals, in case they're lost or stolen. And finally, trust your instincts. If a place, person, or situation feels off, remove yourself. No Instagram story is worth putting your safety at risk. Still excited to go? You should be. Just be the traveler who's prepared, not the one with the cautionary tale. Let's wrap it up. So let's recap what we've learned, because whether you've already booked your trip or you're just Caribbean curious, this stuff matters. The Dominican Republic is still one of the most beautiful, most visited, and most affordable beach destinations in the Western Hemisphere. But like anywhere that mixes high tourism with local inequality, safety isn't guaranteed. We've broken down what the Level 2 advisory really means. And more importantly, we've covered how to travel smarter, stick to safe areas, use registered transport, avoid risky solo adventures at night. And above all, don't let your guard down just because the beach looks like a postcard. If you stay aware, follow the basics, and respect local advice, the odds are still in your favor for an amazing and safe trip. Now, if you found this video helpful, go ahead and like, subscribe, and tap that notification bell. We dive deep into real travel insights like this every week. Drop a comment below. Have you been to the DR recently? Was your experience safe, smooth, or a little sketchy? We want to hear the real stories. And if you're still weighing your options, don't miss our next video. Top 10 Safest Caribbean Islands to Visit in 2025. Spoiler alert, yes, there are a few paradise spots where safety isn't an issue. Until then, travel smart, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.